Hello, and welcome back to the Pit Wall Podcast. I am here with Nick Golden, who cannot do an intro to save his life.
I cannot. I tried it 7 times.
Yeah, it's a mess. But we got an exciting week to talk about. It is preseason testing.
And Drive to Survive.
Oh, yeah. So,
ooh, Drive to Survive fans.
I feel like we're going to have some people in the comments being like, it sucks. Shut up.
I'm sorry that you don't enjoy life. Anyway, I'm super excited. This is like, I was excited for this all week. Last week went so slow at work, and I was just like, come on, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive. And now we're 6 days away from the race, or, well, 7. It's the 7th day from now. It's Monday, and I can't wait. I have many thoughts about how every team is going to be, and most of it is unconfident. So, but we're going to start. Let's start with, you want to start with preseason? Because that was first.
Yeah, let's start with preseason.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of stuff to go over, so we're just going to jump right into it. I listened to all the tech analysis people as much as I could and wrote down as many notes. We are not engineers, so we do not understand all of the things, but I tried to write down as much notes as I could so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of crap going on. I would say the first thing that mostly impressed me, and maybe it impressed you too. I know you watched more Drive to Survive than I did. I've seen all of Drive to Survive, but you've seen it twice. So, I think the thing that impressed me the most was how stable, like almost all of the teams were.
Oh yeah.
In preseason testing, it was just like everybody is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, I have a graphic that I need to pull up that has the gains and losses that Formula One posted that I think is pretty interesting.
I did see that.
Yeah, and so obviously in this new era of Formula One with the cost cap and all this stuff, they have new wind tunnel time reductions, and obviously that's a hot topic. But the team that had the most time last year was Williams, of course, so they finished last in the championship.
Yep.
And with that said, they, according to what this graphic says, and I don't know how, obviously there's teams that could be sandbagging. That's a popular topic, and I'll talk about that in a second. But just right out the gate, Williams gained 2.3 seconds. 2.37 seconds.
Is that average lap time?
Yes.
And testing? Yeah.
That is sick. Like, way to go, Williams. Yeah. So that's one of my first notes that I wanted to talk about. I'm kind of all over the place here, but Williams had probably their best and most stable preseason test in decades. That's great. You can watch Drive to Survive for, I believe, 2020, maybe it's 2019. Last time Claire Williams was like really in charge.
Oh yeah. And
it was terrible. I mean, they were literally flying parts out. The CEO is flying parts out 2 days late.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to see that. And I mean, we have an American driver, which people forgot about, by the way. I just want to mention that too. In the comments, someone said, well, there's no American driver. And I responded literally 2 words, Logan Sargent.
That's good. That's good.
But, yeah, I mean, I think we could both agree we want to see Williams be good.
Yeah, because like Williams used to be like a top 3 team.
Yeah, not
like
that long ago.
Even like 2015, I think it was their last like good.
Yeah, they had some. I think 2018 was okay. 2017 was okay as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since then, basically, right when George Russell got there, unfortunately for him, it just fell apart. Yeah. Kind of like their cars did in 2018. Anyway, so the biggest topic no one will shut up about in this preseason test is Aston Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Aston Martin looks incredible. I'm already right that's what everybody was talking about.
Yep.
I mean, they have Alonso, and it starts off with Stroll breaking his wrist, and now we know that Felipe Drugovich will be driving if Lance Stroll can't. Lance today reported to the simulator to try and see if he can do it or not. So we'll see what comes of that. I predict not.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know if we'll see him. I don't know. The internet says 6 to 10 weeks for wrist fixes, and I don't know how long ago he broke it.
That's true, because they could have been hiding it for a while.
Yeah,
to make sure. Like, kids, like
I rewatched the launch video, but he looks normal in that.
Yeah.
But also, who knows when they shot that?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we as video people, we know you shoot stuff way early, so
yeah,
who knows? But yeah, they're looking like a monster. The people are thinking they could be P3 in the championship. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think if they're as good as everybody thinks they are, and Ferrari has as many reliability troubles as they did last year or more, they should be worried. And as a Mercedes fan, I too am worried.
Yeah.
So as a Red Bull fan, you don't need to worry.
That's fair.
And then with bringing up Red Bull, one thing I want to mention too that I want to get your take on. So Red Bull looks the best right now. Let's just assume no one's sandbagging. It looks pretty close. So Mercedes, they published the data yesterday, like last night, and actually Mercedes and Ferrari are basically the same on qualifying pace.
Oh, okay.
So let's go. But Mercedes looks like they're actually a little behind on race pace, which is surprising to me because before it was the other way around.
Yeah.
But I personally believe that both Ferrari and Mercedes are sandbagging their race pace, not their qualifying pace, but I'm not sure. Obviously, this is just speculation.
Yeah.
But that said, take all that aside. I think I have a theory that Red Bull used the majority of their wind tunnel time already. There was little mentions of like how many developments they've added, and obviously they have their penalty.
Yeah.
Do you think if this is true, do you think this gives Mercedes the chance to catch up?
If they have the correct developmental plan.
Because Toto Wolff was quoted as saying they're going to bring the, quote, real W14 to Baku. So they don't even have the, quote, real W14 out there.
Yeah. Probably because that obviously gives, if Red Bull's already got their real car out there showing what it has, and that's their real time with few upgrades left because of the wind tunnel time, I'd say that gives every team an advantage against them.
So I think the way the calendar, I think this first race will maybe a Red Bull blowout, or is going to be kind of a three-way battle, kind of was last year, or two-way. It was two-way last year, but three-way. I do think Mercedes is much more in this now.
If it's a double DNF on the first race, I'm calling they win the championship right there.
Dude, not to get too far ahead, but that shot in Drive to Survive where Checo is standing.
I already knew what you were talking about.
Dude, it's incredible.
We'll talk about it.
It is an incredible shot.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna speed up through some of this, but anyway, that's my current theory. Is I think Baku is going to be the race where everybody goes, oh, snap, this season is on.
See, I can see, like, how you would say that, but also, like, Red Bull didn't have much to improve on.
This is true.
So, like, they might not have used majority of their wind tunnel time because they're like, they've already got the fastest car. They only have to do so much to just make sure it's still above the next step ahead of everybody else.
And there are subtle updates.
Yeah.
There are subtle updates that I saw a diagram. There's so much information out there. Like, this is just so hard to bring all together.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But there are some changes. It is faster. It's 1.6.
I'm not saying they didn't make any changes. I'm just saying when you already have a winning car like that, you need to basically just perfect that even better. You don't have to change everything.
They're 1.4 seconds faster.
Sweet.
So, there's only one team that got slower, which is Alpine, which is shocking.
I saw that, dude, and I was like, what?
How? What did they forget in the car? Because, last week I said, hey, guess what? Their car is lighter than everybody else's. That's awesome. Good job. Yeah. And now apparently it's lighter because they forgot this fast part of their engine. I don't know. So yeah, I agree with you. That's a fair statement. I could see it going either way.
Yeah.
So I don't think basically what I'm saying is who knows what's going to happen at this race, but whatever happens at this race will likely happen in Australia, and then at Baku, we're going to know. Yeah. Then we'll know what's going on.
For sure.
So it could be the real W14 could suck. It could. Because, if they just fix the bouncing issues, and then they start adding performance in, and then there's an issue like it happened last time, could be the same thing. Or the W14 could be the fastest at Baku, and all of a sudden it stuns everybody. Or Ferrari could be sandbagging a bunch, and they're the fastest. Who knows?
I hope.
Or Aston Martin's the fastest.
That would be crazy.
Which brings me to another point. They're the fastest in the braking zones right now, period. Ooh. They are significant. I think it's like they're gaining all of their time in the braking zones.
You looked a lot more at at testing than I did. What was Felipe like within testing? I mean, was
nothing significant.
Okay, I didn't know because I haven't really looked
He didn't
too much
do bad.
into
It just wasn't like he was out there to do long race runs.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
He
yeah.
was out there to put individual laps on the car.
For sure. I just didn't know. Wanted to
So,
check and see.
with that said, so Mercedes, the biggest update, I'm just going to kind of go through every team now. Mercedes, the biggest update I can see, the car's not bouncing at all, period. Like,
That's
gone.
great. That's good.
I mean, every F1 car before last year bounced a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it is gone. I watched so many onboards, it's gone. And that's what everybody was talking about. There are other teams that are suffering with it now that weren't before. Ferrari's suffering a little more. Alfa Romeo's suffering a little more. So it's very interesting. So let's see. So we talked about Red Bull. Ferrari, their car just looks solid. Like it's just like it does look like a Red Bull Ferrari situation right now.
Gotcha.
I'll say Fred Vasseur has impressed me quite a bit. He did several interviews. He's funny. He's personable. Like he seems like this cold guy. Like in some of the interviews, he's personable. He's realistic. He's the perfect guy for this.
Yeah.
And they were all saying how the team morale around Ferrari is so much better right now. And I mean, watching the season of Drive to Survive made me feel kind of bad for Mattia just a little bit. But at the same time, it's like,
they really showed the good side of him.
Yeah.
We saw the stupid strategy side.
Yeah.
And,
so
ignorant comments.
I think Fred Vasseur might be the guy they needed all along. So, Aston Martin, I talked about. Alpine. Ferrari is suffering in one very specific way, though. They have way more understeer than any of the top three teams. And apparently Carlos Sainz really likes that, which makes sense. He did really well driving for McLaren.
Yeah.
And Renault, who both historically suffered from that. So basically there are several people predicting that Carlos Sainz to be the world champion this year, which would be
this year.
Yes. If Ferrari's the fastest, they're predicting that he will drive that car better because of the way it is. So
I'm not gonna. That would be awesome.
That'd be cool, but no, Lewis 8th championship. That's what I want.
I mean, well, yeah.
Come on, you got 2 in a row. You'll be fine. So
you had 7.
I know. It wasn't in a row. There was a break. There were several breaks.
Mercedes fans, man. They forget about those years.
There were several breaks. Anyway, he won in 2008, and then he didn't win again until he went to Mercedes.
Here we go.
So there was time. Hey, we're on a break now. December 5th, 2021, the last time that Lewis won a race. Shut up.
Let's keep it that way.
I know you don't think that. He's playing it up for the cameras. He's actually meaner in person. No. So anyway, all right. So one of my favorite parts of testing was that the Pirelli guy came on and talked about the new tires.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a nerd, so I think this is super fascinating. First of all, there is a 6th compound this year. So it's the C0 tire, which I guess, whatever. So it's the hardest tire, I believe. I always get that is super hard for me to remember. You would think higher number means harder tire, but it's the opposite. So the most fascinating thing, though, the wet tires sucked last season, and we had a ton of wet races. So they have fixed the tires so much. The problem is tire warm-up. That these new tires, the new compound, will be warmer without the tire blankets than the old ones were with the tire blankets.
See, I saw this, and I doubt it.
You doubt it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. But you know what? I
don't doubt it's going to be warmer. I just don't think it's going to be like a tire blanket.
I mean, he said that you should notice a significant difference between the inters and wets, but we'll see. I hope we don't find out because I am sick of wet races. Most people like them. Unless Mercedes is bad, then as many wet races as possible. No, seriously, like we had plenty of wet races last year. I don't want wet Monaco. Like it's just not fun. So Ferrari mentioned that they had an engine problem for Alfa Romeo. Everybody's defending them. I don't know why.
What are they saying?
Like everybody online is saying that Ferrari doesn't have an engine problem, no matter how many times I post a source. So, one of my favorite notes of testing. First of all, McLaren looks bad.
Yeah.
And
I saw their times,
I sent the text. I predict that McLaren will be the bottom of the championship for the first 3 or 4 rounds. I think there's a chance Williams is faster. I mean, unless they have some crazy fix.
Yeah, do you think the drivers would be better? Because sometimes it doesn't.
Alex Albon's really good, man. It's all about what Logan Sargent can pull out, which I have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about this yesterday with somebody, or like Oscar Piastri, F2, F3 champion, Nick DeVries, Formula E champion, very experienced for a rookie.
Yeah.
Logan Sargent did decent in Formula 2. I'm not trashing on him at all. I just don't know what he brings to the table other than sponsors right now, and I'm hoping that there's pace there too. Yeah, I'm sure they're not stupid. They didn't, but Latifi was there to give them money which is understandable. Williams is in a position where they need one driver scoring points and the other one bringing money.
Yeah.
Which is fine. So I'm hoping that Logan Sargent just isn't the Latifi. And every year there's going to be the worst driver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who it's going to be. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Yuki maybe? I don't know. So I don't know. Well, AlphaTauri don't have any clue how they are, honestly. They're kind of silently sitting back there. They made some gains. They could be good. They could be bad. But they might be being sold, which is something that I really wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Mr. Red Bull fan? Because I have a very clear idea of what I think they should do.
I'm interested to know. Being a Red Bull fan, I want to see as many
Red Bull cars out there.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they haven't been doing anything.
So the most shocking, go on Sports Illustrated. This is the article that I read. And basically there's a quote in there that says AlphaTauri costs more to run than Red Bull, and they make less money because Red Bull does better than the Constructors Championship. But them costing more to run absolutely stunned me.
Yeah.
I would have thought Red Bull was throwing more money.
Does that mean as an F1 team or as a brand?
As an F1 team.
Okay. Because I was going to say, they do the
clothes. But no, as an F1 team. And I guess it's just about so basically they either have to move to England or they have to be sold.
Yeah.
I think Red Bull just needs to keep footing the bill for this. Having 4 cars on the grid is the value of that is immeasurable.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a little different. They restructure from the Toro Rosso days. I actually don't know if they could just straight up pull a driver back and forth from the 2 teams anymore. I have no idea.
What, like a
Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon situation before they were. That was their junior team.
What you mean.
Now they're their sister team.
Yeah.
So what that means, I have no idea, but I believe they are still all Red Bull drivers.
Gotcha.
So,
they're all still a part of Red Bull.
So I think
they're at AlphaTauri.
I understand like money, and obviously, even though as much as I clown on Red Bull, obviously I would prioritize the safety of Red Bull racing first.
Yeah.
So if AlphaTauri needs to be sold, AlphaTauri needs to be sold to keep Red Bull not afloat, but in a better situation.
Yeah.
But losing those drivers, they would have no more allies because. And maybe once they have Red Bull Ford powertrains, maybe then there'll be some situations. Because, Mercedes has their hand in Aston Martin. Mm-hmm. They have their hand in McLaren, Williams. Ferrari has Alfa Romeo and Haas. And that's just something that I think could come back to haunt them if they sold it. So
yeah, I agree.
So, and I would just be sad to see him go. But with that said, I do think it's the only way Andretti is getting a team. I think that is the only way Andretti will get a team.
Yeah,
they raised the cost to minimum $600 million entry fee this week. And the only flaw is
they raised it to what?
The entry fee to $600 million. So basically, I think he could get that money. I'm not saying that. But there's already a factory. It's obviously in Italy, so I don't know if he would move it. But also, I don't think the teams are going to fight against this hard constantly. Mm-mm. And I think this is the opportunity.
That'd be fair. Yeah.
I don't know when they could sell AlphaTauri by. I don't know if it's like they can sell them next year. I don't know if they can sell them in a week. I have no idea. But or maybe it's 2026 before they can sell
I was
them.
about to say that might be.
No idea. So, but with that said, Williams was just sold in 1 year, so it's possible. But I would say AlphaTauri is a bigger deal. Not to mention whatever. I mean, they're going to lose their clothing stuff. Like, there's a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah.
So that's very complicated because Williams stayed the same, but AlphaTauri would entirely change.
Yep.
So, sad to see them go. So let's see what else. Williams is great. Felipe Drugovich. Oh, Lewis Hamilton is confusing the absolute crap out of me. I don't know who gave him this pro media training, but in the same interview, he said that we have a mountain to climb. And then he also said, they said, well, are you guys still struggling with straight line speed? And he said, well, last year we struggled with straight line speed, basically is what he said. And I was like, we know, but so it was like he dodged the question as if they have straight line speed in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So that, which makes me think they're sandbagging.
Gotcha.
So I have no idea. I think if they get within 0.2 of raw pace, don't you think Lewis could compete?
I mean,
in some way?
Dude, it is, the one thing I've learned is it is so diplomatic in Formula One that you just never know.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Let me see. Oh, one of the most things that got the biggest drama that got blown out of proportion was Lando Norris like tapped a wall, like punched a wall. And now it's like, now the headlines are like, Lando Norris beats pit member to death, burns engine, like declares he'll never drive for McLaren ever again. Like that's like what it turned into. But really he just was like, dang it, boom, hits a wall.
What is Lando's contract to?
Oh, it's a while. It's 25, I think. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
he is stuck.
Yeah, poor man.
Because
I believe they're saying they could compete by 26, but
that's 26.
I mean, Zach Brown basically coming out, he literally came out and said, we have not hit our goals. I don't know what else you can do.
Oh, man.
So,
I feel bad for him, man.
I do too, but he also knew what he was signing up for. But also, he's been in a while now. Like it's kind of hard to. He's missed his shot because if he hadn't signed for it, it would have been him and George Russell in the conversation for the Mercedes seat.
Yeah, that's fair.
And obviously Piastri, great driver. We think. Who knows how it'll be? So there's a chance Piastri's that bottom driver, like I said before. But we'll see. What else?
3-year contract in 22. Yeah, so 25.
I will say this. We'll go back to our Red Bull conversation for a minute about the upgrades. Both Ferrari and Mercedes have confirmed updates in the pipeline. Red Bull has not. So, and last year they're pretty open about when their updates were. So, we'll see.
Who knows, man?
Mercedes was in the Wall Street Journal. That's a note.
I saw that.
It was a very interesting article. I would just like it to be noted that the Wall Street Journal called them the greatest dynasty in modern sports. So just, sit with that for a minute. I mean, it's either that or Alabama football, so I'm good with either.
Okay. As you represent both.
Yes, I do.
I'm talking currently.
The best two things. First thing, Haas's pit wall. Did you see
the
it?
3-man?
Dude, I love their pit wall. It's so funny.
It said it gave them what, 250,000?
400,000.
No, 450,000.
I think it will save them 450,000 ultimately.
Yeah.
Which
just
is
off
hilarious.
of freight travel, I think
they said I think they can ship it. That's such a funny idea. That's such a Haas idea.
Yeah.
They're like, that's how they hit budget cap. Is Steiner's just sitting out there like with an umbrella and a laptop.
Yeah.
An F1 TV Pro. He's just sitting out there.
All their engineers are just going to stay inside
that's smart.
the garage now. So
I mean, Toto Wolff does. I mean, Christian goes back and forth.
Yeah, I know Ferrari does.
Yeah, so I mean, it's smart.
Yeah.
They need someone sitting there, but they might reduce it to one for all I know at some point. I'm
Uh,
sure they talked about how many people really need to be sitting there. So
Yeah, I think they'll keep it to 3.
I don't know. It's pretty funny to see, though.
Yeah,
the comparison.
It is funny to look at. I will say that.
You're like, like it's like so small. All right. Now the best news, it broke today. I'm so happy about this. I don't know how much you have an opinion about this or not, but they're changing the layout of Spain, of Barcelona's track. back to the original way it was, where you go full throttle through the third sector.
Oh, really?
And everybody hates this chicane. Everybody hates the chicane.
Is that
Everyone
the one where I've seen
about
so many videos of people just driving
yeah,
through
so they
it?
go like,
Yeah.
it's terrible. It's awful. And everybody's been asking for it to change for years, and they're finally changing it back.
Wow.
I'm very excited. I'm glad it's official. Like Formula One posted it. It's not any sort of degrees less, even if it's a really reliable source. You know, sometimes it's not 100%.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really exciting. Aston Martin's probably upset about this because of their braking zone thing, but it's it's awesome. It's very similar to Suzuka if you know those track layouts.
Oh, I see where it's at now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
So it's already there. Like it's already ready to go.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to no concrete or anything. I don't know.
Wow.
It might be too late to change it for Formula 2. I'm not sure, but that race is earlier, like a third of the way through the season. I think it's round 8. So
okay.
But yeah, that's about it. First race, we really have no idea. The best guess you can make if you were betting on this is that Red Bull's going to win, but we genuinely have no idea who would P2V. So, I'm excited. I am trying to not have too much. I am going back and forth every day between thinking Mercedes is going to win 22 of the 23 races and thinking that Mercedes is going to be P5 in the championship.
Yeah.
So I'm very scared because Aston Martin is freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
you're just in a state of limbo as a Mercedes fan.
And
yep.
Felipe Drugovich might score more points than Lance Stroll. So
Let's
I'm not
hope
making that a clip because I don't want to get
hope
clipped.
not.
Even though most people don't like Stroll, from what I've gathered in my research.
Well, a lot of people, it's not as big of a Nikita thing, but it's
it's similar.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people that have met all of them rate them and always rate him the lowest in terms of like friendlaness.
Oh,
so,
wow.
It's usually like
Max is down there too, I'm guessing, right?
I think he's like mid. I think it's like Lewis, Lando, and Daniel are all like the top 3. I think Daniel will be number 1. Assuming I've hardly seen a clip of him being a jerk. So up there, and then Max is like somewhere right around there. It just depends on the mood you get Max in. If he's
That's
P1,
fair.
he's gonna be your best friend. If he's P2, he's probably gonna punch you in the face.
He's Monaco last year. You're done for.
Pretty much. Yeah. Speaking of which, hey, how about you tell us about Drive to Survive? I have stuff to say too, but I'll let you lead.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go over or I'm not gonna break down every single episode, every single mark. I'm just gonna put down notes that I liked about each one.
Yeah.
So I actually have a lot for the first one.
Okay.
It's the Ferrari and Haas episode.
Mm-hmm.
They open up this season with Gunther and Mattia driving around in a Fiat 500, just a tiny little car.
Which is hilarious because the beginning of the show recapped 2021, and it started me with such pain of like remembering Abu Dhabi. Then it was like,
then it's just so happy.
Yeah,
It's
so genuine.
And they are. I loved that moment. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the season.
Yeah, same.
They're going through Mattia's vineyard, which I didn't know that he owned.
Hey, he's got a retirement plan.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Also, Max is back in the chair for the interviews this season, which is awesome. One of my favorite quotes from this whole season came in the first episode. It's that these drivers compare to fighters in a coliseum.
I didn't catch that actually.
Yeah, it was really good. Another thing I loved, you're going to hate it. Everybody dogged on the Mercedes car in the first episode, and I just thought it was like the perfect little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
They also, which I didn't think, this is a little political, but they did mention the Ukraine and Russia war.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't think they would. Because I knew that like with Nikita involved, like he was out. Like we heard that. But I didn't think they put that in the show.
I doubt this. I don't even know if Netflix is allowed to be shown in Russia, so it might not matter.
Yeah, that's fair. But also I liked Gunther said he's Russian, so he's collateral damage. No more Russians. I'm done with the effing Russians.
Yeah, we got ourselves the perfect dose of Gunther in this season.
Oh,
He left you wanted more, but you felt satisfied.
Oh yeah, he's still the main. He's still the protagonist
of
of Drive to Survive.
He's a protagonist of F1.
Oh yeah. So they also brought back K-Mag, as you know, he's back in. They showed they went to his home and followed him and his family. It was adorable.
It was adorable.
It was adorable seeing K-Mag's little baby and him and they showed it later in the season, but his little kid was like in his car.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah. What a shot.
Yeah. So this was what Nick was saying. He loved this shot in Drive to Survive. It was a double DNF for Red Bull, and Carlos and Leclerc finish a 1-2, and there's this It is a really nice shot of them driving around Checo as he walks away from his car.
Listen. Now that you know Red Bull won the season, us Mercedes fans deserved that moment. Okay,
well,
we suffered at the end of the season. We just got a little glimpse of like a healing, and then you guys moved on.
There's some hope.
You guys moved on and won 16 races.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for episode 1. Obviously, like with it being a Haas Ferrari episode, they focused on how Ferrari won the 1 and 2. K-Mag got P5 that race.
Yep.
So it was really good. Now we mentioned a little bit about this earlier, the porpoising episode called Bounce Back.
Which somehow I didn't get the title of that episode. I'm like idiot.
I knew that it was going to be a Mercedes episode, but I was like, they never bounced back. So how did like it was not a racing term. So
that's true. They did not bounce back.
Not in position, but then finally they were like, it's porpoising, and we were like, oh, it finally clicked.
Yeah.
One thing I had to mention, because Nick's been dogging on Red Bull a little bit, Lewis was late to his Drive to Survive interview and couldn't remember his own team's name.
Yeah, that's multiple times he's forgotten the team's name. He messed it up in older seasons, and he was late. I did notice that. I was a little upset.
I had to point that out a little bit.
As a video production person, I was like, Lewis, how could you do this? But he's very apologetic.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Well, he should have played. So everyone had porpoising at the start of the year, but Mercedes was the only team that couldn't fix it in a timely manner.
I guess we should say there's spoilers. We probably should have said that. People get it. There's spoilers.
Well, yeah.
We haven't spoiled any of the like really good stuff yet.
No, this is all like small notes. This kind of just like stuff we thought was kind of cool.
Well, I will spoil some of the bigger moments as we go on.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert going forward.
Okay.
Continue.
And we also got a look into an FIA meeting.
The best part of the season for me.
It was too, because Toto was so desperate. It was hilarious. This man was crying not crying, but he was it was hectic. He sounded desperate.
He did sound desperate.
I mean, he was. Mercedes was desperate.
I know I'm biased. I both see him as desperate and right in that situation.
Well, okay. So the reason he was being so hectic, if you watched, but like we said, spoilers. Everybody else had fixed their porpoising, or at least was getting it manageable.
Working on it, yeah.
Mercedes had no clue what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they tried did not work, and the bouncing of the Mercedes was so bad that it partially, like, not injured, but Lewis was hurting, like physically could barely get out of his car at the end of a race. And so Toto thought it was like they needed to change regulations entirely over each team, like not just individually, because they just couldn't figure it out. Mm-hmm. But everybody was just calling on him like, hey, fix your own car. It's not, we each have our own safety regulations we have to follow and that we do to make sure our drivers are good. You need to get yours right. So that was a little crazy getting to see that for the first time, at least like in that
it was
style.
Shocking.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see that out of this season. They've like never gotten that into a meeting like that before. Yeah. So
other than like K-Mag breaking the door, like
no, I mean an FIA meeting.
Yeah, this is serious.
Yeah. So that was just kind of, this was Mercedes, not big episode, but one of their main.
It was a big episode.
Yeah.
Do you think so Christian Horner was wrong in that episode though? Checo had been complaining about the car.
At the time, because this is what I saw, I went online and checked this. That meeting was later.
Yeah, it was in Canada.
They had fixed it already. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was saying, talk to my driver, we're good. Then he said, I have it on the record that he said that because he said it at the beginning of the year, yes, but at the time it was done.
Okay, but just counterpoint.
Yeah.
Remember that the flexi floors thing that I was like obsessed with? This was around the time, and that was their fix.
Yeah.
Which is a rule break. So I think that's what Toto was so upset about. I 100% think that Toto was a little too much in that moment, but I still think it was. As a show, I'm so glad it happened.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, I think he was upset because he's unwilling. Toto's flaw is he's unwilling to break the rules and to a bad extent. He should just done flexi floors too. Yeah, that's what he should have done, but they didn't.
He just doesn't want to give anybody a chance to say y'all did this wrong.
So here's what I'll say. I think we arrived at the best solution now, which is there are rules about it, and there's no flexi floors, and they fixed it, and it didn't really hurt Red Bull, it didn't hurt Ferrari, and in terms of changing the rules, and it is safer ultimately. So I think we arrived at the best result. Whether or not it was because of this meeting, I mean, who knows what took place right before it? But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you most overall.
We also got a deeper look into Zhou Guan Yu's wreck. We got like multiple angles that we like couldn't see just while watching the race initially, which was at Silverstone.
Was it the same episode?
Huh?
That was the same
So
episode.
this is where they first introduced it. Because this is where George had also wrecked, and he had went to go help.
Right.
So, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think this. I was gonna say, I think this series made George Russell look really good.
Yeah, we've gone full circle because our first episode of this podcast was at Silverstone where we talked about this.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the Drive to Survive about it, but yeah, George really stood out. Like that was because at the beginning of this podcast, I told you I didn't like George. But
he reminds me, you didn't watch 2019. He reminds me of Leclerc the first year. You would have hated Leclerc.
Really?
The first year he was in the Ferrari. He was just so.
I think it's just maturity. That's like it's just people maturing over time.
Now I love Leclerc, but at the beginning, I mean, you asked my dad. I was complaining about Leclerc constantly because he was always complaining over the radio. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I think that wreck was insane.
Oh yeah, but this shows that like the safety regards that the FIA goes through because, I mean, take it 10 years back, he would have been dead.
Oh, not even. Yeah.
Not even just before the halo.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been dead.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but he's lucky to be alive. And I really think that I liked how they focused on George throughout that a lot.
Yeah.
And he like spoke his true opinion about it and how he felt through that moment. That was really cool to talk about.
Yeah.
Or really cool to hear.
Because he had the best viewpoint of anybody that interviewed other than, because I mean, even Joe Grant, he couldn't see, you know.
Yeah. He was out of it.
Yeah. So.
Because like, I think when no, never mind. That was a different episode. I was going to say, I thought he said what happened, but that was something else. So the next episode.
Wait, hold on. I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Lewis's quote in the second episode, where he said, "I'm trying to take back the championship that was taken from me."
Oh,
pretty baller quote.
I remember that.
I had to keep it together at the moment. I was like, "Oh."
No, I remember you looked at me when he said that.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was surprised to hear him say it. I think that's okay. Keep going. The rest, I don't have any really notes for this until later in the season. So continue.
These next ones aren't going to be too much because it's just kind of a basic episode.
Yeah,
I guess you could say. This one's called Matter of Principle. Can you take a guess who we're going to talk about?
Gunther. No.
We were talking about Ferrari, Mattia Binotto, and the downfall of the Ferrari strategy.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about when Carlos got pole and when won his first Grand Prix. Well, we're not going to talk about it. That's what they talked about and showed. And that was what race was that?
The Silverstone.
That's okay. Oh, that was Silverstone?
Yeah, he won his first Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Oh, okay. I didn't think for some reason I didn't.
You remember
think
because you remember at the time
that's
you
when
were
I
surprised
called out.
that
I was like, oh yeah, they're doing Silverstone again. That's right. That was another one of our main talking points, that because Ferrari chose to swap the driver positions in that race for Sainz to win, and we didn't know if that would cause some resentment within the team.
Yeah. Yep.
Not much else for that other than Carlos finally getting his first Grand Prix win, which was awesome to see him and his cousin. We confirmed. Very excited.
That episode both made you feel sympathy for Mattia and also understand why he got removed.
Yeah,
which is he had his blinders on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's scolding Leclerc. It's just not a good look, and he's saying, we only mess strategy up in Monaco. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
So anyway, I see what happened.
Yeah. So that's it for that one. Episode 4, which was like kind of my favorite, but I also there's not too much to talk about, just because they have like long sections they only have a few sections throughout this episode. It's called Like Father, Like Son. It's about Mick Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
It shows I put down that it shows how much he really did cost the team.
Yeah, you asked me in the middle of the show, did we have Mick syndrome? Because we're always talking about we have Haas illusion syndrome. I think we might have had Mick syndrome.
I think we did because wow, he cost them a pretty penny.
Yeah, not as much as Grosjean, I don't think.
No. Grosjean was worse, but we had our blinders on, not going to lie, at the beginning of this.
So does he deserve a seat still?
He deserves a seat. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, but
he got better.
Here's the thing. I think that season had to happen for Mick to get obviously he needs more experience, but I think that needed to happen for him to get a wake-up call.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's all about it's just experience, especially like with the tracks he was racing. It was about knowing what to do, when to do it.
Yeah.
Basically, it was just him pushing a little too hard in certain sections or not doing, enough.
Sure.
It also I did confirm this. Gunther does live in North Carolina.
Okay, yeah.
He does. That obviously that's where their HQ is, so it makes sense. But we thought because in a previous season he was shown in Germany, that's where he lived.
He must have 2 houses.
Yeah,
That must be his
I'm pretty
family
sure
home.
he does. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he does. Yeah, but he's got a very nice lake house in North Carolina.
Yeah. I wonder if
So-
he lives on the same lake. I have a family that lives on a very nice lake.
Oh.
They look very similar, and I was like, it's gone through their neighborhood. That would
you
be
should call
sick.
him, ask him.
That'd be like-
Do you have a loud German next to you?
Yeah. did anybody smash his door?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
So they showed, or they focused on Mick this episode, and I loved how at the end, Mick got points, and I forgot which race it was because I didn't write it down. But I loved at the end they showed drivers going past Mick, like after he had scored the points.
It's Silverstone. It's Silverstone. That's why they
Still
showed
Silverstone.
it. Yeah.
Okay, that is 3 episodes in a row.
I'm verifying. Keep going.
Okay, and Verstappen goes by him, gives him a thumbs up, says that was a great race.
Yeah, because remember he was racing
That's right.
Verstappen. It's
That's
so
yeah, that's right. And then Vettel also went by saying, "Great job, kid." I thought that was really cool. I didn't know they did that at the time.
Yeah.
So to see that was really cool.
I want to say, sorry, hold on. I think
ahead,
Max
go
has
ahead.
matured quite a bit.
I do
just
too.
want to say for the record, and I am gaining. Like I was really angry with him at the end of 2021, even though it wasn't his fault. He did some stuff I don't like, but just interviewing and moments like that. I mean, obviously, it's easier to be like that when you're having. But he had
When
a
you're
bad
winning
race
like
that day.
that.
He had a terrible day
yeah.
that day, and he's congratulating him. Like he went and shook Sainz's hand. Like that's.
Yeah.
I appreciate that
for sure. This is mainly just a short question. Mick has said that he's got seats for 24 already like lined up,
Well, yeah.
or that he's gotten offers. What team would he work best with now?
Work best with, or what team does he have an offer for? Because I think those are different answers.
Fair enough. What teams do you think has offered him?
Alfa Romeo.
Really?
Yeah,
Like Joe?
Yeah, Joe Renews. Or Bottas.
Really? You think they replace Bottas?
I don't know. It comes
I mean,
down.
he's done more than Joe.
Yeah, but what's their future?
But
What's their
I was
future?
about to- yeah,
and Joe
you've also
Renew
got the
brings
thing.
Joe Renew brings huge sponsorship.
Yeah, that's true.
But it seems like they are also gaining more sponsors from Europe, and that's more of like Switzerland. That's more of a Bottas territory.
Yeah.
I genuinely have no clue what their lineup is. I think if they were smart, I don't think Joe Renew doesn't deserve a seat. I want to be really clear.
No.
And I'm not saying Mick deserves it over him, but I don't really know. But I think what they'll probably do and what they're probably seeing is Mick and Bottas would be a great team. And Bottas will nurture him over the year. Because, I mean, he has a year with Mercedes. Just shadowing Lewis, I mean, he's going to learn a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think nurturing him a little bit. He's going to bring secrets probably.
Yeah.
And I think they want him as Audi number 1. When the light switches, because I think Bottas is out by 2026.
If it's also a financial standpoint,
He's got 1-1. He has German sponsors.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean his name,
yeah,
that's gonna bring money alone.
yeah. Like father, like son.
Exactly. Okay, next episode. Pardon my French.
Well, let's do these 2 episodes together because they were basically a part 1 and part 2.
Nice guys finished last.
Oh wait,
And pardon my French.
they're basically. Remember, there's a cliffhanger.
5
at the
and
end
6 are
Yes.
basically the same. So we'll talk about both. Episode 5 is Pardon My French. Episode 6 is Nice Guys Finished Last.
Mhm.
This is the silly season episodes, I'd call them.
Yeah,
Mainly focused on Alpine and McLaren, or Daniel Ricciardo, I should just say.
yeah.
So this is where we find out Fernando is leaving, and
No, hold on. Seb retires first.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say that
Okay,
right
go
after. I love the fact that in one of the shots, Fernando's like, "I'm sad to be leaving," and Ocon was like, "No, he's not. He's happy to be gone." He goes, "Yeah, I'm happy to be leaving."
Incredible moments.
Yeah. We also have Vettel's retirement, like you said, which they showed some of the drivers reacting to the video for the first time, which I thought like was really cool. They showed Checo like on the interview watching the video for the first time, and
It
he's
was
like,
incredible.
and he said, "Seb has an Instagram," and he clicks play, and then Seb's like, after 2022, I will be retiring from Formula One, and Checo just is shocked. It's like pure shocked, like he doesn't know what to do.
So as video production people, we have been preached over and over again about making documentaries about cinema veritas is what it's called. And that means like capturing real moments like that, where it's, I don't even know if I think they got lucky on that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Oh yeah. It is one of my favorite moments of these episodes that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So then towards the end of the episode, it's more talking about the future of Alpine. They're losing Fernando, so they're like, oh, okay. We've got Oscar Piastri that we've been grooming to be an F1 driver. We've paid $4 to $5 million on his development.
And did you notice they were showing him in the shots ahead of time?
Yeah. He was with Fernando and
at
Ocon.
The launch.
Yeah, at the launch. And then they show the drama of Piastri, Alpine announces, hey, Oscar Piastri and Ocon is going to be our driver lineup for 23. And then that's obviously where Piastri says, They show the tweet and they go into basically the insides of what Otmar was thinking, talking about, how he felt. He said there was such a lack of loyalty that he was surprised about because of how much they had really done for Piastri, which like I get.
Yeah, 100%.
But he made the crucial mistake, I think, which thankfully he went back on it, but he tried to sue Piastri originally. This is where Nice Guys Finish Last kind of starts.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, thankfully he went back on it. But one thing that me and you both didn't know, and when it was said, we were like, what? That was a thing? McLaren was trying to trade Daniel Ricciardo to Alpine.
I didn't know that was an option. I don't even know how at that point how it would work still.
I don't either.
Because, I mean, I guess, I don't know.
It was crazy to think about because I had never once in my mind thought a trade for Daniel.
Yeah.
That never popped into my mind. So when I heard it, I was like, that's another thing. I don't know if that was.
Must be.
It wouldn't it have to be like Alpine pay out his contract?
No, so essentially what I think would have happened is Alpine would have paid whatever Piastri was owed.
Oh, okay.
Whatever would pay Piastri's contract, and they would get Daniel Ricciardo, which would be a steal in terms of money.
Oh, yeah.
Because McLaren ended up having to foot the bill for both.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about this too, that McLaren had made the mistake, and this could affect drivers in the future of they were going to have to also pay any like legal things.
Yep.
Which
that would have been rough.
Yeah.
But like we said, he was going to sue Piastri. Went back on it because even Zach Brown told you that's a PR disaster. You do not want that to happen. You are going to be you're just going to be stomped on, man.
Yeah.
It'll be terrible decision. And then also finally as the end of these episodes, Pierre Gasly was announced as the Alpine driver, and he said it will always be impossible to win a championship in an AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
oof. One more note that I really liked from this was they also caught Christian Horner seeing the tweet for the first time about Piastri when they were on vacation, which I was like, why are they showing this?
No, his wife told him about it. Yeah.
It was incredible.
He didn't even see it.
That one seemed like it could have been a little more staged, but even still, it was. He goes, well, he must have another seat then. Like he obviously didn't know.
Yeah.
Christian's not going to be like, all right, I'll say it again. They must have another seat. Like it's not like that. That was great shots. He has a World War II Jeep for some reason, which was sick. I was like, all right, this man knows how to spend some Spice Girls money right there. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So that was one of my favorite parts too. So continuing on to Hot Seat.
Episode 7, Hot Seat. This is Checo's episode, basically. It's mainly focused on his Monaco win. At the start, Horner gave, which I'm still kind of worried about. Like, he's obviously got an extension, but like he said, reality is if by spring he's not cutting it, then we're going to have to look outside. Talking about Checo's performance throughout the season. Do you think that's still the case this year?
I don't know, man. I was surprised to hear that too. Initially, I'm trying to figure out how it all worked because I remember an interview with Checo after winning Monaco saying he signed too soon. And I remember,
extension?
yes, and I remember being confused because the show said that he signed after the race.
After, yeah.
But my only theory is maybe Checo signed saying, "Yeah, I agree to this," and then Red Bull had the decision to make still.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're like, "Here's what this is what we're going to offer you if we decide to keep you," because I mean, Checo's at their mercy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And yeah, there's a chance that he. I don't know how long his contract's to. I think it's through. Is it just 1 year?
Just next year. Yeah.
So I hope he does well. As like I said, we have a topic that is being hotly debated right now. And
oh yeah.
Please, seriously, if you're listening to this and you have an opinion about this, chime into. I have a TikTok that is labeled this. It says, "Comment: Checo is the worst driver on the third in the top
three
teams."
Yeah.
I think it's a legitimate conversation that we have like 400 comments right now about it. So most people, it's very divided. So. Anyway, yes. Okay, so Checo's good until 2024. So I think that means end of this year.
Yeah, which, they
for the team until 2024. So,
Gotcha.
But again, I don't know.
So this is where in one of our last episodes of last season of Formula One, this is where the drama of that started. So Checo wrecked in qualifiers of Monaco and blocked the road after Sainz collided with him afterwards. That stopped Max from finishing his flying lap. He was mad, and they showed him going through the garage. I mean, he looked devastated, mad, everything.
Yeah.
And that's where Max was, or he never said this obviously because they wouldn't. Well, he might, but wasn't intentional, which I don't think it was.
Dude, I had never seen his onboard camera.
Yeah.
The pain and like upset he was with himself in that moment. No way.
He was just pushing it, is what it was.
No way.
He was pushing it to the absolute limit, and he just lost control. That was no way intentional.
And this reminds me of something Christian Horner said about Alex Albon in a previous season when they gave the seat to Checo. And it's one of my favorite things, my favorite philosophies that Christian Horner has. He says that he would rather you be crashing trying to drive better than not going for it.
Yeah.
And I like that philosophy a lot. And that was Alex Albon's flaw back in the day.
Yeah, he wouldn't go for it.
So I think Checo is doing the right thing in the moment.
For sure. Now on to the race. It is Pierre Gasly explained it well. Monaco in the rain is terrifying. He said, whenever you load up Formula One on a PlayStation and you get Monaco in the rain, you just want to quit the game, or it's one of the hardest things to do in the game. And we have to do it in real life. And I thought that was hilarious.
I like that. That's how he related it.
Yeah.
So it's accurate, I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah. Look, Nick, you might have said it in the podcast.
I did.
Yeah.
No. I only said it. I said it to you in person.
To me, yeah. Nick said that he skips Monaco in Formula One, and like honestly, like I've raced it when I'm playing, but it's absolutely I've never done good. I'll tell you that. This is also another episode where Ferrari's strategy just
it was terrible.
craps the bed, man. They double stacked while Checo was in P2. So, P3. So Sainz goes in first, and then they tell Leclerc to box, and they tell him to stay out as he's pulling up to the garage. Like,
bad,
what? I mean, we've talked about it, but still, that just boggles my mind how you like don't even realize your driver is already in, and you're saying stay out, and he's like literally driving up to the pit crew.
Legendarily idiocracy. Yeah.
And then Checo nearly blows out a tire.
Yep.
And holds Sainz back from winning for 8 laps.
It was a while.
It was 7 or 8 laps. It was insane. Honestly, when they showed it in the show, it looked like he hit a bird. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
It looked like he hit a bird. So like that's what when I was rewatching, I saw it and I was like, wait a minute. And I rewatched it like 4 or 5 times. I was like, okay, no, it's just a bird flying in the exact spot that it needed to be.
Yeah.
Obviously Checo wins, which was really big. They announced that they re-sign him. I thought that's honestly probably one of my favorite episodes.
Okay.
I liked it a lot because it was like, I don't know, it's just I think one of my favorite episodes of each season is like contract
Same.
contract ones. When it's like this driver has to do well now to get a contract, and then he does it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like George with Mercedes.
Yeah, I agree.
really like that episode.
Yeah, I agree. It's very satisfying. It's very beginning, middle, end.
Yeah. So now we're gonna go on to the Sonoda episode.
Yeah.
Alpha Male, episode 8. This is basically just about Pierre Gasly leaving AlphaTauri and seeing if Yuki can step up and be a team leader, or will Nick DeVries be the team lead?
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know. Nick DeVries obviously has the experience and I guess
he acts like a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
He looks like a Formula One driver, and that's not
it's
a
like
race
the prestige
thing. I want to be
behind
clear.
his name is like a thing.
It's just the way it's his
It's the way he carries
it's
himself.
his mojo. Like he just has the vibe. He's a little older. I don't know, man. I really don't. I hope Yuki proves me wrong.
I do too, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he does well next season because I want him to stay on the grid. One thing we got to see the last bit of was the bromance of Pierre Gasly and Yuki. It's gone finally, but they gave us a little last glimpse.
It was funny.
It was hilarious. They had a karaoke scene where they were screaming at the top of their lungs. It was
awesome.
It was amazing.
We need that footage. We need the rest of that footage.
Honestly, we also got it's probably on AlphaTauri's YouTube channel. Honestly, we also got a look at Danny Rick's horse.
Yes.
At the Austin Grand Prix. Horsey McHorse had an official tag and everything was its name. Yuki actually finished P10 at that Grand Prix, which was that's why he focused on that episode. So I'm still indifferent to how I think Yuki will be next season.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
6 days.
Here's Nick's favorite episode, Red Bull's cost cap.
This is the only one I've seen twice.
Oh, of course.
Well, because I had to re-show it to a friend who fell asleep during it. So.
Horner said in the TV show that it was a miscalculation, and they didn't know about it until the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that?
I don't think he knew about it. I think someone did.
Oh, okay.
I think
That's
someone.
fair. That's fair.
Have you ever sent your taxes in to your accountant or something? If I don't know how you do it, my family has an accountant, and I've sent it before and been like, "Oh crap, yeah, I'm not paying for it." Oh crap, I forgot to send this one piece of paper.
Yeah,
and I send it later, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry," blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Well, your good thing is you sent this in March. It's not April because we follow like a month early." Okay, this is an example. Okay, well, this is much more complicated, and I think anybody could have made this mistake. In terms of how they mess up the paperwork is what they said. But I don't think Christian knew about it.
That's
I genuinely don't think he knew about it, but I do think they overspent.
Someone. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they definitely overspent, but that's fair. I didn't know that I didn't see that Zach Brown had posted that letter online. I didn't know that. Where he called for major punishment for anyone who overspent and was very adamant about these punishments because, I mean, he wants it to be fair for everybody. So
my favorite thing is they read the thing of it. They're like, they must be punished. And then they caught him walking in the paddock being hey, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Hello. You're going to go down. Hi, how's it going? It was very funny.
This was also the episode though, where Max clutches the drivers and the constructors championship. So woot woot for that.
And Dietrich dies. Yeah. They're the Red Bull founder.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about Christian Horner's attitude in this episode? Do you think
towards what? Because there were different things.
There's a lot of emotion. I mean, I'm hesitant to say this, but the poor guy went through a lot in one day. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
Do I think it was awesome? A little bit. I mean, he definitely the founder dying sucks. That's just, especially because before we as the public did not know that they already knew their punishment before they knew the owner died. Because what we had been told was that they were going to rule afterward, but really they just didn't want to.
They were going to publicly rule.
Yes.
Not privately. Okay.
Yeah. And I like that the president of Formula One was like, the FAI, I'm your only friend here.
Yeah.
They want to screw you. They want you to. Do you think? I think Christian Horner was downplaying it a little bit, and I think Zach Brown did too much in the way he acted.
Yeah.
But I do think his quote in Drive to Survive is the exact way that I was thinking about it before. And I think I said this on the podcast, which is he said, they spent $400,000 more on catering, which means that there was another $400,000 that went into something else. Maybe it wasn't the car, but I think it all works its way back.
No, yeah. I mean, no one's going to ever know what that extra money went to, but it's just the principle of they had an extra $400,000.
And Christian Horner's like, did that make the difference? No. But I looked into it. Most updates are around $400,000. So hard to say. Do I think do I think you take that away? They didn't win the championship in 2022? No. Do I think? But it doesn't. I don't know what they did because obviously you start working on the car for next year a little bit.
Yeah.
It just depends on where that money was allocated to, and maybe the FIA knows, and hopefully they do, and hopefully they realized.
I'm sure someone knows.
Someone at Rebel knows, but hey, you know what? This money went to the 2022 car. We're going to punish them for this era because if it was $400,000 on 2021, it's unfair to Red Bull and unfair to the rest of the team to punish them for now. They should punish them in the past.
Yeah,
but. Sure. I loved this episode, not because I love this episode from a storytelling standpoint and personally, but
as a Mercedes fan,
I just really like the access we got with Red Bull.
Oh yeah,
it just felt very like raw. Christian Horner's, we didn't do it, so we did it. So as a Red Bull fan, like how did you take it? Like how did you do you think that Red Bull do you think that they knew about it? Do you think that Christian Horner knew about it and he was blowing smoke?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either. Yeah.
I know that in Formula One you hide everything, at least about the car or whatever. But still how adamant he is throughout the rest. I mean, even though they did the flexi floor thing and all that, how adamant he is about rules and all that. I feel like. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't know because there were times where he was like, "Well, everyone's under suspicion for overspending right now."
Yeah,
he did say that. So I don't know if maybe that was the FIA saying "Hey, we know y'all did. We're investigating it." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well."
There were so many moments in this episode I could go over. I mean, two that come to mind. I like that he comes out of a door and Mattia and Toto are standing there talking about him and what are we talking about? And he was like, we're talking about you. Like they're just being honest. We're plotting. But I don't like that. I don't know how these two events were timed related, but he goes to Mattia and he's like, I'm disappointed in you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's
a bad look.
Yeah.
Especially for someone that is 5 minutes ago saying, no, we didn't overspend. He's like, I can't believe that you would come after me. It's easy, Christian. Easy. Talk in the media. Yeah. Also, another thing. He's like, people don't talk to me in person. They only talk to the media. They literally had just talked to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was kind of like, I understand it's his job to cover their butt when stuff's happening. So he was kind of scrambling. But it wasn't the best look.
Yeah.
So anyway, last episode,
end of the road. This was obviously the closer of the season. It was Abu Dhabi. It's where Mercedes is trying to overtake Ferrari and McLaren's trying to overtake Alpine for their spots in the Constructors Championship, which both failed. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I liked is we got to take a look at all the new drivers in the grid coming up. They
never did that.
Everybody. They haven't done that. They also they put Piastri and Nick DeVries early in the season.
Yes.
Which they've also never done.
And you'll know, I said this last week, that I said they knew ahead of time that they had another season in the can.
Yeah.
So hopefully they already and they did. So they probably had already shot interviews.
Yeah.
And they just tacked it on. I bet it was the last time they did. Yeah.
But overall, I think, what do you rate this out of the Drive to Survive seasons?
Oh, I need to watch it again. Mm-hmm. So I will update you on that next week.
Fair.
But gut reaction, I think it's the best shot season.
I agree.
I think maybe season 4 was better. Mm-hmm. But also season 4's season was better.
Yeah.
Is that the right season? Yeah. So what do you think?
I Honestly, I'm a fan of their first season.
Yeah, I thought I agree with you. I thought I was like, no, they get better as they go, and I generally think that. But season one just had this special, like you could tell they took their time with it. There's no rush. Yeah.
The thing about this is it's shot better. Yes, they also just had more access.
True.
The first season, if they had the access they did this year, I think would have been the absolute best thing we've seen when it comes to sports docs or documentary series.
It lived up to the hype, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's still amazing. It's one of the best sports documentary series I think that I've watched.
Yeah, so I'm very satisfied by it. I'm already sad. I'm excited because I'm gonna go home at like tonight. That's my plan tonight is to rewatch some of it.
Oh yeah,
and I'm so excited. And I don't know, I give it at least a 9 out of 10. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
I agree.
I want to say one more thing that we passed over that are in my notes. I think the rest we covered. Mm-hmm. Oh, two things. One, the Alpine CEO said Altmar is super easygoing.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you know what? My opinion has slightly changed on this man, I think. I
used to hate this guy.
I still kind of do. I think, but he seemed much more chill. He
seemed more human.
And he was talking about how hard it was to work for Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why. Lawrence,
he had a lot of
old man Stroll.
Well, they showed a clip of him from last season where Lawrence is like, "You got 15 minutes.
Show me everything."
All. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like they probably had like a 2-hour presentation.
Yeah. I mean, think about that's like so much pressure. Like I wouldn't be in a good headspace.
We've been talking for an hour right now.
Yeah.
You know, so and we're just two idiots with microphones.
Exactly.
So and 3 cameras in a podcast studio. And that we don't know.
Yeah, give the exact address too while you're at it.
402, and that's all you get to know. That's the actual number. I mean, I don't care. I can say it. We're at the Sea Creative Studio. No, it's fine. No. I mean, we want people to rent it. So if you ever need it, give me a call. Fair. Yeah. So actually, don't call me. Email me at nick@yourseedmedia.com. Anyway, so that's the plug. So that's number one. Number two, K-Mag had the idea, was the first person that we heard mentioned in the show.
Oh, I know.
To get Nico Hulkenberg.
Yep. He had mentioned him.
I'm very surprised. He's like, Hulkenberg? He said, Ricardo. And he goes, dude, don't be stupid. We can't afford that. And he was like, Hulkenberg? And he was like,
yeah, he said Ricardo wants like over 10 million.
Yeah, that's at least 10 million.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to drive for Haas for less. No. So I thought that was interesting because everybody's trying to frame it as they hate each other. Oh, there's this huge rivalry. I think they have probably one of the least rivalries of all the teams.
Yeah, I'm sure one incident was overhyped, and I think people are going to hold that to them.
No one gets along with. Sorry, finish.
I was just going to say that they also there's like. Sorry, my brain's blinking. They pull him into an interview, and they go, "So Nico Hulkenberg's your new teammate?" He goes, "Yeah, he can still suck my balls."
Yeah, but see, he was being funny. He gets it.
Yeah.
I think just going over like who the teammates are. Everybody recently has had a problem with Alonso as their teammate. Ocon had an issue. Obviously, Lewis and Alonso had their rivalry. Mm-hmm. I think it could happen again. Can you imagine Lance and Alonso together? It doesn't seem like
Alonso's going to make some mess out of that. I mean, well, that's the thing though. We talked about this not too long ago. Actually, I think it was towards the end of the season when we were talking about his move. How like he's always been that hothead who wants control.
Yeah,
like he's got to be the driver that the team is trying to like change for.
I don't see Yuki and DeVries having a romance. Nah. Maybe Piastri and Norris, that could be good. I think Sainz and Leclerc get along fine.
Yeah.
I think George just looks up to Lewis, so I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. Checo and Max could be awesome, could be terrible. We really don't know.
Yeah, that's a weird spot, honestly.
Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, I think, is just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting? Logan Sargent's just going to be happy to be there, and Albon's cool. So, I think I got everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I forgot somebody. So yeah, I think they could actually have the potential to be one of the best pairings. I'm sure they'll both get hot-headed, but I think they will be friends. So overall, really enjoyed this season. Really excited for this race.
We're so close.
Do you think Red Bull's going to get 1-2?
Well, I sure hope so.
Yeah, I know.
I think they are.
I think they are too.
It's either a double DNF or a 1-2.
I think it could be one. It could be Red Bull 1-2, Mercedes 3. I think there's a possibility.
Okay.
I genuinely don't know what the Ferrari pace is.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know what the Mercedes pace is. So we'll find out. Who knows? Alpine could be on the. I mean, not Alpine. Aston Martin could be on the podium.
Alpine will not be on the
podium unless there's a 6-way wreck. No, an 8-way wreck.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway. All right, well, that's been it. Thanks for stopping by. Follow us everywhere at the Pitwall Pod. Hey, if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a rating. 5 stars would be awesome. Some fan gave us a 1 star, and I'm bummed about it because I don't know, they found us and they hate us. So they hate us because they hate us. So anyway, by the way, I'm always joking. Just for the people that are listening, I'm always joking about us being arrogant. I know we're small. Like, I just like being funny. So anyway, Dawson knows, but I need to clarify my humor in case anybody ever pulls some clips of me. And then they won't pull this part of the clip because I'm an editor. I get it. So anyway, at Pitwall Pod, rate us, follow us, all that good stuff. We'll see you next week after the Bahrain Grand Prix. Happy racing.
So excited.
Bye-bye.
Bye.